Hey guys, welcome to Code Quick, and today let's quickly see some of the differences between monolithic architecture versus microservices architecture. What does actually monolithic architecture means? If you observe, if you are following any tech blogs or some anything these days, every company wants their software application to move from monolithic architecture to microservices architecture. It's become a trend, but why do they want to do so? Okay, so let's deep dive into each of the terminology and understand what does actually they mean. So first let's come to monolithic architecture. So if you see, the word mono itself means like a single type of thing. So as per the definition, like it's a single software application which is self-contained, or you can say isolated, and it is independent from other applications. So let's say, so let me give you a quick example. Let's say you have developed a Django project and you want to host it onto the cloud. Let's say you have chosen Amazon Web Services and you have taken an EC2 instance. So let's say this background is your EC2 machine. Inside your EC2 machine is comprised of your Django project running, you have your database running, you have your messaging broker, let's say Kafka, you have your caching system and some other services running, right? So all are entitled or tightly bound to each other in one single machine or environment, and they are independent from other applications, right? So this type of architecture is called monolithic architecture, which is self-contained. So yeah, let's go to next slide. So microservices architecture, so by definition it goes like collection of independent services. So here you can see there are four different independent services, right? By service I mean, you can say a separate module. Let's say, let's take an example of Flipkart website. Like cart is one module, right? Search is one module, payment gateway is one module. So these are different type of microservices. So microservices are like not tightly bound, they are actually separated like this, and they can communicate to each other via like some messaging broker or common network, something like that. So this is the difference between monolithic architecture and microservices architecture. So since now we know what is monolithic, which is a single entitled self-contained application, and microservices, which is like distributed. Now so let's see the differences between both of them in one view. So as you can see, in monolith architecture you just have user interface, business logic which you write in the backend, data interface, and you have the transactions going back and forth with the database interactions in one single layer, right? But whereas in microservices, each microservice talks to different DB, like you distribute in such a way and they are separated. So each microservice like there are like four microservices, they are separated, they are not monolithic because they're separated, right? So this gives a pretty clear understanding the distribution, right, for microservices architecture. So what are the advantages of microservice architecture? So main advantage of microservice architecture, so as I said previously, you have deployed a Django project into AWS, right? So let's say in Django project you have 5-6 apps. Like one app is of search functionality, one app is of payment gateway, one app is of cart module, something like that. Now since let's say payment gateway has more traffic, or search functionality has more traffic all the time, you can't just allocate more CPU, RAM or memory to that particular app. You basically allocate to the whole Django project in monolithic application, because it's in one single EC2 machine, right? You can't allocate to RAM like 80% to this, 20% to this, so it's equally distributed. So you are giving it to a whole project. But whereas in microservices architecture, let's say your search functionality has more traffic, like 1 million transactions per second, TPS per second, then that can be allocated more RAM, because microservices are independent of each other. Each microservices we are actually isolating. So that is one advantage. And one more advantage is, in microservices, let's say if one module goes down, it doesn't affect another module or another microservice. But whereas let's say in your current Django project, if due to some deadlock happening in one app is causing the entire database locking, and it will bring the whole Django application down, which is the entire monolithic application down, right? But that doesn't happen in microservices because they're isolated. So that is one more advantage. And by this, the main advantage is, since they're isolated, the development becomes easy, and the testing becomes easy, and the deployment becomes easy. So you don't need to worry about the complete application. You just need to worry about, okay, my search functionality is not working, let's fix that. So those particular test cases for that particular pipeline can be easily set up, right? So this is one advantage. One more advantage of microservices, again, let's consider your Django project. You will write your Django project completely in Python, right? But in microservices, one microservice, you can write your backend in Python. In another microservice, you can write in Go for concurrency. So they are like, you can choose your own language in microservices for different microservices and combine. So all the microservices which you divide, right? So in this way, so they can actually be so they talk to each other. Let's say we are messaging broker or whatever, something like that. So everything is like interactable in each way. But having said that, microservices also have their own operational overhead. Having said that, key, like, each microservices can be developed in different programming language, but again it depends. So let's see the adoption of microservices. So in 2009, Netflix started to migrate from their monolithic infrastructure to microservices, but back then there was no microservices concept. So like Netflix back then had major amount of users, and then they saw a spike that they're getting more number of users, and finally they decided that they have to scale their architecture, scale their application. So they wrote their own sort of microservices architecture, but they did not reveal it to the outside. But later on, microservices architecture came. But these days, like, everyone, big companies like Uber, Amazon, PayPal, Netflix, everyone are also in the same path because of the scalability and resiliency, right? So one question remains is that, can monolithic be improved? Of course, if your application is monolithic, it doesn't mean that it's like 100% bad or something like that. Can it be horizontally scalable? Yes, you can create replicas. Let's say you have your Django project hosted in one EC2 machine. You can create a replica of that replica of database, and have your interactions between each of the replicas, like if one is down or something like that. So can few modules be isolated? Yes. So in our previous architecture, right, what did we see? Like, you have your Django project running and database here, right, in one single machine. Okay, so these can also be separated. So you have something called as RDS in Amazon, which AWS provide. So RDS is basically DBaaS, database as a service. So RDS, so let's say if you're running a Django project on Postgres, so host your database on Amazon RDS. Okay, so RDS is a separate dedicated instance for the database. Okay, so then you don't need to actually keep your database here. So it will be isolated, it will be somewhere here, and it will be communicated to your application to and froth. So even though, let's say, in the worst case, your EC2 machine crashes or something happens bad, your data remains safe in that way. So the isolation can be done. I mean, few improvements can be done using monolithic architecture too, right? So yes, it can be horizontally scalable, and modules can be isolated. You don't need to keep your messaging, again, just like we separated database from the EC2 machine, we don't need to actually keep your messaging broker also in that. Okay, we can isolate that as well in different, so that, let's say, if your server crashes again, and you don't need to worry that some of the data or messages being lost, so that they will be safely stored in Kafka or Redis somewhere in the other machine. Yes. So finally, what I would say is, you choose the right architecture. So, like, don't blindly follow that you need microservices architecture and just implement that. So initially everyone starts with monolithic architecture, but it really depends. So you have to ask your question, why do you need microservices architecture? It depends on the scale, like number of transactions per second and the traffic on your website and these all, right? So it really depends on the IO operations happening in your database and these all. So those design decisions has to be taken by yourself, but never blindly follow that, okay, I'll scratch from microservices. Definitely microservices are good in the way, but they have their own trade-offs, right, as I said before. Alright guys, yeah, this is it. Thank you for watching it. I'll be coming with more lectures based on system design. Wait for it. Thanks. Bye.